Hey everybody, Mario here, otherwise known as Y2 on the interwebs, and welcome to another edition of the 52 Review. Alright, well, since Justice League was pushed back, I got 5 comics this week. A couple were awesome, a couple were okay, and one in particular was kind of a disappointment. Let's find out which one it was together. Let's begin with Superman number 5. Well, it's not a shock that they start off with a disappointment, because that's exactly what Superman number 5 was. There's 2 different kinds of Superman comics. There's action comics, which is how Superman should be done, and then there's Superman. I was expecting a gigantic plot twist. I was expecting surprises. I was expecting some sort of a plot to build up, since we've had, I don't even know what the hell to call it, in the last 4 issues. Instead, we get a sort of a plot twist that was super telegraphed. Seriously. Within the first, I would say, 5 to 7 pages, you pretty much figured out what the twist was. It was easily telegraphed, and it was rather disappointing. But besides the point, though, the story bored me. I didn't keep me interested, and I almost didn't even notice the twist. Not because it was hard to figure out, it wasn't. It's just it was so boring that I was like, oh, that's what it was. Yep. I'm really trying to decide whether or not to keep Superman around or just drop it. I have a good Superman comic series. What's the point of keeping this comic series around if it's not going to wow me like Superman does? And also, what they're doing to Superman in this comic run, I don't know why they're doing that. It kind of annoys me because Action Comics is about Superman trying to prove himself a hero and not a threat, not something to be feared, but as someone to feel protected by. And it seems like in Superman, in this comic series, they're trying to undermine that, and it's too soon, and it's really annoying, and it's, the entire run so far hasn't been stellar, so it's not even provocative or anything like that. It was a big letdown, and that's all there is to say about Superman number 5. Next up is Green Lantern New Guardians, number 5. Pretty much this issue was a filler issue. All it does is pretty much set up for the next story arc, which begins in this issue. We don't really find out a lot about the New Guardians, other than the fact that they're off on a first mission. And we still haven't exactly gotten such a big justifying reason why they're even together, considering that half of them want to kill the other half, and the other half doesn't really care about the first half. Also, this new enemy seems a little too, I don't know, like a space barbarian for me, and also, what the hell? Obviously they're trying to set up with something with Larfreeze as a villain, but it's not there yet, and I'm not really sure we should even take Larfreeze seriously. He appears in the issue, and he's no Darkseid. I'll leave it at that. Other than that, the only thing it's got going for it is that it's better than Superman. And that's saying a lot. But still, considering how the previous story arc in the last 4 issues played out, I was expecting a little bit more. Still, better than Superman. Next up is The Flash, number 5. So this is pretty much the issue that wraps up the storyline with Mob Rule and The Flash. But let's just say that I know this is going to sound like a thing to say, considering it's The Flash, but I felt that things wrapped up a little too quickly and wasn't really as satisfying as I thought it would be. Also, apparently we're going to get a new arch enemy for the Flash later on down the road. Meanwhile, an old arch enemy of the Flash has a message for the Flash. We don't even get to see who it is. It's an old favorite, I guess. Hopefully, when we finally get to see him later on, when the new story arc begins, hopefully the new 52 version of him is much improved than the old one, because I wasn't really a big fan of the old version. It was a solid issue, but the way the story arc ended, it could have been better. But thankfully, the artwork by Brian Buccellato is what keeps me coming back for more. But I really hope in the future that they don't really just count on the artwork alone to sell issues. I want to see a good storyline for The Flash as well. But hey, can't complain too much. No Cosmic Treadmill, so that's a good sign. Okay, next up, Aquaman number 5. Dude, I gotta tell you, Aquaman number 5 was amazing. It really was. It was such a good read. We get a lot of insight into Aquaman and the lore that surrounds him. There is a very poignant scene in the issue where we get to find out a lot about Aquaman's past, specifically his relationship with his father, and why Arthur, aka Aquaman, will always feel like, and pardon the pun, like a fish out of water in both societies, humanity and Atlantean. Also, we get hints of some treachery from within, and Jeff Johns finally tackles something that we've all been wondering about. What the hell happened to Atlantis? We haven't seen much. We know that something bad happened, but we don't really know anything beyond that. This issue sets up the next story arc, and although the plot is so simple it's stupid, having Aquaman trapped in the desert, it actually works really well, and it helps bring in that poignant moment that I spoke of a moment ago. This is the way a setup issue should be, and I highly recommend anyone and everyone to pick it up. Aquaman is one of my top 6 DC series going on right now. It really is such an incredible read. Jeff Johns is doing an amazing job. Like the way he did with Green Lantern, he's doing it again with Aquaman. It is a magical series, really. It really is. And you are completely screwing yourself over if you're not checking this out. Ivan Reis's artwork just fits so well with the comic. It's such a perfect pairing. I cannot say enough good things about it. This is a definite must-own if you are a DC fan, and if you want to give Aquaman a chance, this is the time to do it. Pick it up. And finally, the pick of this edition of the 52 review, Justice League number 5. So finally, the band's together. And finally, Darkseid makes his appearance, and he just looks, well, like Darkseid should look. It all comes together in this issue, although we have one more left, one more to tie up this story arc, which is really awesome. It's a good mix of action, character development, the story's pretty action-packed, and there's a pretty poignant scene here between Batman and Green Lantern, which I think is going to ensure that these two, if nothing else, are a pair of BFFs here and in the future. Or at least they make like a good odd couple type of friends, you know? Some people will say that it was super corny and probably had no place in this issue, but you know what? Ignore them. I think it definitely has a place in Justice League, and it's perfect, especially who it comes from. It really is a good issue. Also, Darkseid, dude, I don't think he even said a word in this issue, but considering how Jim Lee drew Darkseid and what happens in the issue, he really didn't need to say a word for you to understand how serious the situation is. I love this issue, and I love the action. Everything just came together. Although I felt that a few people got screwed out of starring roles like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and especially Cyborg. Look guys, Cyborg is featured in the cover. He's pretty much in the center of the cover, yet the guy probably gets like maybe a word in. Hopefully we get to see him step up in the last issue of the story arc. Come on now. And while we kind of saw the cliffhanger ending coming, it still ended pretty well, and I kind of am in the dark as to what will happen, how things will conclude. But let's just say that things took an apocalyptic turn. Wink, wink. Things got pretty apocalyptic. The situation looks pretty apocalyptic. If you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, you pretty much are a newbie to DC, aren't you? Anyway, this is another one of my top 6. And this is another series that you guys should not miss out on. This has been an amazing run since issue 1. And critics be damned, this is definitely one you should own in your collection. And I can't wait to see how this epic story arc comes to a conclusion. I've had a fun ride through it all, and I really am looking forward to how things end. And quite honestly, it's no surprise that this comic series is also written by Jeff Johns. In fact, 3 of the 6 of my top 6 favorites are written by Jeff Johns. So, there you go. That guy is a wizard, a DC wizard, and he's magical. He's awesome, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Alright guys, that about does it for now. As always, I encourage you to comment on anything that I've talked about today. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, just drop them down on the commentary plot, and as always, I will look them over and get back to you. Alright folks, that's it. As always, live nerdcore, Y2M out.